One man is chosen to lead them, not a prophet like Moses, a warrior. His name is Joshua, and his name means, the Lord saves. This is not just a story about battles and walls falling down. It's a story about courage when you're not qualified, about obedience when the plan makes no sense, and about a God who keeps his promises, exactly when it looks impossible. This is the book of Joshua. After 40 years in the wilderness, Israel is finally here. Across the Jordan River lies Canaan, the land God promised Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But there's a problem. It's harvest season. The Jordan is flooded, fast, and dangerous. No bridges, no boats, and an entire nation needs to cross.
Tomorrow the Lord will do amazing things among you. When you see the Ark of the Covenant carried by the priests, follow it, but stay back about half a mile, so you can see where God is leading.
The Ark represented God's presence. Joshua tells the priests,
Take up the Ark and go ahead of the people.
Then God tells Joshua,
Today I will begin to make you great in Israel's eyes. Tell the priests, when you reach the edge of the Jordan's waters, stand in the river.
Early the next morning, the priests lift the ark and step toward the floodwaters. The moment their feet touch the water, the river stops. Miles upstream at a town called Adam, the water piles up in a heap. Downstream, the water flowing to the Dead Sea is completely cut off. The riverbed becomes dry ground.
Now all of Israel, cross on dry land.
And they do. Men, women, children, livestock, maybe 2 million people. The priests stand firm in the middle of the riverbed with the ark, while the whole nation passes by, just like their parents crossed the Red Sea. This generation watches God part the waters again. Once everyone is across, God tells Joshua,
Choose 12 men, one from each tribe, to have them take 12 stones from the middle of the Jordan, where the priests stood.
Those stones became a memorial at Gilgal.
In the future, when your children ask, What do these stones mean? Tell them, The Lord cut off the flow of the Jordan so we could cross. He did this so all the peoples of the earth might know that the Lord's hand is powerful, and so you might fear the Lord your God forever.
The priests come up out of the riverbed last. As soon as their feet hit dry ground, the waters rush back. The crossing is finished. The wilderness is behind them. The promised land is here. Joshua now leads the Israelites. Their first target in the promised land, Jericho. Jericho wasn't just a city. It was a fortress. Double walls, 6 feet thick, 25 feet high, guards on the ramparts, gates barred shut. The people inside knew Israel was coming, and they were terrified.
We've heard what their God did to Egypt.
But God gives Joshua a battle plan unlike any other. Day 1 to 6, march around the city once per day. All the armed men go first, then 7 priests carrying trumpets made of ram's horns, then the Ark of the Covenant, then the rear guard. No one speaks, only the sound of marching feet and trumpets.
We're just walking? Silence. That's the order.
For 6 days, they do this, once around, then back to camp. To Jericho, it must have looked ridiculous. To Israel, it was obedience. The real test, this time, march around the city 7 times. After the 7th lap,
shout, for the Lord has given you the city.
The people shout, the priests blast the trumpets, and the walls of Jericho collapse. Flat, not pushed, not breached. They crumble straight down into the ground. The Israelites charge straight in from every side. The city is taken. Rahab, the woman who sheltered Israelite spies, and her family are spared, just as promised. Next on their path, a small city in the hill country. Just a small outpost compared to Jericho. Joshua was confident. He sent spies, and they came back saying,
Don't send the whole army. Ai is small. 2,000 or 3,000 men will be enough.
So Joshua sent about 3,000 men. He expected another easy victory, but it didn't happen. The men of Ai chased them hard. Israel's soldiers panicked and ran. 36 Israelites were killed on the slopes outside the city gates. For the first time since leaving Egypt, Israel fled from the enemy. Joshua was shattered. He fell face down before the Ark of the Covenant.
Lord, why did you bring us here? Just to let us be defeated? Our enemies will hear about this and surround us.
And God answered him,
Get up, Israel has sinned. Someone has taken what was devoted to destruction from Jericho. Until you deal with it, you cannot stand against your enemies.
Someone in the camp had disobeyed. While all of Jericho's plunder was supposed to be given to God, one man had stolen for himself. His name was Achan. He had taken silver, gold, and a beautiful robe, and hidden it under his tent. Because of one man's hidden sin, the whole nation lost. After Achan was confronted and judged, God spoke to Joshua again.
Do not be afraid. I have given Ai into your hand, but this time you will set an ambush.
This time Joshua didn't send 3,000. He took the entire army, 30,000 of his best warriors, and God gave him a strategy. That night, Joshua sent 5,000 men to hide behind the city, to the west. They waited in the darkness. At dawn, Joshua led the main force forward, as if to attack the city gates again. The king of Ai saw them and thought,
"They're running again!"
So he called out every man in Ai, and chased Israel into the wilderness. The city was left completely empty, undefended. Just then, God said to Joshua,
Stretch out your spear toward Ai.
Joshua raised his javelin. It was the signal. The 5,000 hidden soldiers rushed in, and set the city on fire. Smoke began to rise. The men of Ai turned around. Smoke was rising from their own homes. In front of them was Joshua's army, which had now turned to fight. Behind them, the ambush. They were trapped. That day, the city of Ai fell. The battle that was lost through pride and hidden sin was won through obedience and God's wisdom. Joshua's army was unbeatable. They just destroyed Jericho. They just wiped out Ai. No one could stop them. So their next enemies, they didn't try to fight them. They did something way more dangerous. They lied. Israel has just entered the promised land, and every king in Canaan is terrified. God told Joshua,
Make no treaty with them. Wipe them out.
But 15 miles away, the people of Gibeon had a plan. They knew they couldn't win a battle, so they decided to win with a costume. Meet the Gibeonites. They were Hivites, a powerful people living very close to where Israel was camped. When they heard what Joshua had done to Jericho and Ai, they were terrified. They knew they couldn't win in battle, so they came up with a trick. They gathered a group of men and made them look like they had traveled from a very distant land. They put on worn-out clothes and patched sandals. They loaded their donkeys with old, torn wineskins, and they took bread that was dry, moldy, and crumbling. Then they went to Joshua at Gilgal and said,
We have come from a very far country. We heard of your God and what he did in Egypt. Make a peace treaty with us.
The Israelites looked at their old clothes, their cracked wineskins, and their moldy bread. It all looked convincing. Joshua didn't pray. He didn't ask God for wisdom. He trusted what he saw with his own eyes. So Joshua made a covenant of peace with them. He swore an oath in the name of the Lord that he would let them live. The leaders of Israel agreed. 3 days later, the truth came out. Israel marched to the cities they thought were far away and discovered they were right next door. Gibeon was only a few miles away. The people of Israel were angry and wanted to attack. But Joshua said,
We cannot. We gave our oath in the name of the Lord our God.
They answered,
We feared for our lives because we knew God had given you this land.
Joshua kept his promise and spared them, but he gave them a consequence. He said,
From now on, you will be woodcutters and water carriers for the house of my God.
The Gibeonites went from being enemies about to be destroyed to being servants in the house of God. They survived because they sought peace. But then news breaks that changes everything. Gibeon, one of the strongest cities in Canaan, a city of mighty warriors, didn't fight Israel. They made peace. When Adoni-Zedek, king of Jerusalem, heard that Gibeon had surrendered to Joshua, he was terrified. He understood what it meant. If Gibeon joins Israel, Israel has a foothold in the very heart of the land. So he sends an urgent message to 4 other Amorite kings, to Hoam, king of Hebron, to Piram, king of Jarmuth, to Japhia, king of Lachish, and to Debir, king of Eglon. His message is simple.
Come up to me and help me. Let us attack Gibeon, for it has made peace with Joshua.
5 kings, 5 royal armies, the most powerful alliance in the south. They don't march against Israel directly. They march against Gibeon to punish them for their betrayal, to make an example of them. They surround the city. They lay siege. Gibeon, now cut off from its old allies, has only one hope left. That same night, riders break through enemy lines, carrying a desperate message to Joshua at Gilgal.
Do not abandon your servants. Come quickly. Save us, help us, for all the kings of the Amorites have joined together against us.
And Joshua does something unthinkable. He marches his entire army all night, up the steep ascent from Gilgal to Gibeon, and God speaks to him on the way.
Do not be afraid of them. I have given them into your hand. Not one of them will stand against you.
At dawn, Joshua hits them, a surprise attack, and the Bible says, the Lord himself threw the enemy into confusion, and even hurled down large hailstones from heaven. More died from the hail than from Israel's swords. The 5 kings run. They hide in a cave at Makkedah. But the day is ending, and the battle isn't finished. So Joshua prays a prayer no man had ever prayed before.
Sun, stand still over Gibeon, and you, moon, over the valley of Ajalon.
And it happens. The sun stops. The moon stops. The sky freezes. For a full day, light remains so Israel can finish the victory. And on that day, Joshua 10:14 says, there has never been a day like it before, or since. For nearly a full day, the sun didn't move. The moon stayed in place. Time itself waited, so Israel could finish the battle. The miracle wasn't the end of the war. It was just the middle. The Bible says in Joshua 10:16, while the sun was still up, the 5 Amorite kings, the kings of Jerusalem, Hebron, Jarmuth, Lachish, and Eglon, ran. They abandoned their armies and hid inside a cave at Makkedah. Someone found them and told Joshua, and Joshua did something strange. He didn't go in and kill them immediately. He said,
Roll large stones over the mouth of the cave and post guards. Don't stop. Pursue your enemies. Don't let them escape to their cities. God has given them into your hand.
So with the extra daylight God gave them, Israel chased down the rest of the enemy coalition. No one escaped. It was a total victory. Only after the battle was completely won, Joshua returned to Makkedah. He ordered the stones rolled away. The 5 kings were dragged out, trembling, covered in dust. Then Joshua called all the men of Israel together. He said to his commanders,
Come and put your feet on the necks of these kings.
It wasn't just about humiliation. It was a message. This is what God does to his enemies when he fights for you. Then Joshua struck them down and hung them on 5 trees until evening. At sunset, the sun that had finally been allowed to set, they were taken down and thrown back into the same cave they hid in, and great stones were placed over it again. Stones that, the Bible says, are still there to this day. But Joshua wasn't done. That same day, because there was still light and strength left, he led Israel to conquer Makkedah, then Libnah, then Lachish, then Eglon, then Hebron, then Debir. City after city fell in the south. Why? Joshua 10:42 says it best. All these kings and their lands, Joshua conquered in one campaign, because the Lord, the God of Israel, fought for Israel. But while Joshua was celebrating, a message was traveling north, and the most powerful king in Canaan was getting ready for war. His name was Jabin, king of Hazor. The Bible says Hazor had been the head of all those kingdoms. When Jabin heard what Joshua did in the south, he sent word to every northern king.
Come together. We have to stop him now, or we all fall.
So they came, kings from the mountains, from the valleys, from the coast. The Bible says in Joshua 11:4, their army was as numerous as the sand on the seashore, thousands of horses, iron chariots, the biggest army Israel had ever seen. Joshua had just fought the south. Now the entire north was coming at once. But the night before the battle, God said the same thing he always says to Joshua.
Do not be afraid.
So Joshua didn't wait. He marched his tired army all night and launched a surprise attack at the waters of Merom. Israel smashed them. God threw the enemy into confusion. They chased them for miles. Then Joshua did exactly what God commanded. He hamstrung their horses and burned their chariots with fire. So Israel would never trust in horses, only in God. Then Joshua turned and burned Hazor itself to the ground. But it didn't end there. Joshua 11:18 says, Joshua waged war against all those kings for a long time. That long time? About 7 years. 7 years of city after city, battle after battle. For 7 years, Joshua took the land God promised to Abraham 400 years earlier, until one day. Joshua 11:23 says, then the land had rest from war. No more fighting, no more running. For the first time, Israel had peace in the promised land. Joshua divided the land between the 12 tribes, and his old friend Caleb, who was 85 years old, walked up and said,
Give me the mountain with the giants.
and he took Hebron himself. Years passed. Joshua was now 110 years old. He knew he was dying. He called all of Israel to Shechem. One last time, he reminded them of everything: the Red Sea, the manna, Jericho, the sun standing still. Then he gave them a choice that echoes to us today. He said,
Now fear the Lord and serve him, with all faithfulness. But if serving the Lord seems undesirable to you, then choose for yourselves this day whom you will serve. But as for me and my household, we will serve the Lord.
And with that, Joshua, the man who made the sun stand still, died. And the Bible says, Israel served the Lord throughout his lifetime, and the lifetime of the elders who outlived him. The book of Joshua starts with God saying,
Be strong and courageous.
And it ends with a choice, because entering the promised land was never just about conquering Canaan. It was about learning to trust the God who brought you there. The battles are over. The land is theirs. But the real question remains, for them and for us. Now that you've seen what God can do, who will you serve? But what happens when a generation who saw miracles forgets God? That's the book of Judges, and it's dark. See you there.